I would like to talk about a new decision that YouTube made.
Yes.
YouTube made a really big choice in updating and changing a bunch of features on the design of their site this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with every single one of them.
I have a very similar sentiment as you, and that is the reason I wanted to talk about this, because I think you and I and most listeners out here, when we hear redesign, we get very worried because redesigns usually mean I need to relearn this entire website that I use every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to absolutely hate it. I am still an old Reddit user.
Baffling decisions on many redesigns of the past. Yeah, no, this one was good. So it's the site and it's the mobile app too.
Correct.
So I think there's a lot of good stuff here. And just to walk through some of the highlights, like there's a lot more, it's a pretty consistent new UI, but there's a lot more rounded corners. The subscribe button is no longer red. It's graduated over the years. It used to be yellow. Fun fact, I don't know how old people are watching this. But
yeah, it was yellow.
Yeah, a few years ago, every YouTuber said, smash that yellow button. And there's many, many old YouTube videos of people saying to smash that yellow button.
Interesting.
Then it turned red, and everyone panicked and had to explain, now you smash a red button. Now, it's just going to be the opposite, black or white, based on if you're using dark mode or light mode.
Okay.
But it's contrasty, and it's this nice rounded button. And I actually think it looks better. It's more obvious, because it was just like red text before, and now it's like a real button.
Okay.
I think it's better. But, that's just a sub button. That's a vanity thing. You still have the join underneath the subscribe button. So once you subscribe, then the join button pops up. It's smart. But aesthetically, it's just cleaned up. It's nicer. There's a little bit of a reflection now in dark mode of like the light from the video spilling out in ambient mode. It's good.
I think like my overall, the vibe it feels like is, first of all, let's make this feel more like an app, which is what every single website in the world is doing right now. Let's make it, a lot of people are comparing it to like Material You almost, like Google's making it more Material You like.
A little bit.
I think the easiest way to describe it is before there were a lot of breaks in the page, kind of like the sidebar was a slightly different color. So you had a hard line down the side. You had a hard line on the top for the header. Everything now is just kind of blended into the same background. It's very functional. It's very like actionable button based, like that's everything you have there, and everything just feels more condensed together in the mobile and the desktop version. You said rounded corners. Everything looks a little more like a button that you might find on a phone. You have less separation in like the description and the subscribe button and the channel banner and everything like that. And I agree, I really like it, and the reason I like it is because while they made all these changes that we're listing, everything is still super familiar. I'm not scattered all over looking for new sidebars, new recommended pages, new hamburger menus here and there. Everything is basically in the exact same spot. It just looks better.
Yeah, it's like a fresh coat of paint instead of like reorganizing things.
Yeah, instead of tearing down a wall and opening up the kitchen.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is a good one. I think that means their next update will be absolute chaos, but this is a good one.
God.
This is a good one, YouTube. We appreciate that.
2 new features also for mobile that I really liked. Pinch to zoom while playing a video. I think that could be really helpful.
And like you can move around the frame.
Yep.
So you can pinch, which will fill the frame, and then you can pinch again and keep moving in to the video. Cool.
I like that a lot. And then there's like a new scrubbing feature. So previously, if you were to scrub the like the circle on the timeline, you would just kind of see what frame it was at. Now it expands. I've kind of been comparing it to, do you know if you're doing like trim on your like an Instagram video or something, and it brings up the whole timeline and kind of, or if you're working on slow-mo video on like your Android phone or something like that. So now you got a whole timeline under, so you can see many more frames and where you're kind of scrubbing to.
Yeah,
I think
more precise.
Both great new features.
Yeah, it's a win. I kind of this remember when they first introduced the retention graph in the the scrub thing? I think that turned out to be pretty cool because a lot of videos now I scroll to, sometimes there's like a comment with a timestamp, which is one thing. But the comments are so far down. And usually I just start scrolling and I see a spike in retention and I just like fast forward and just watch that part. And if that part hooks me, which it usually does because that's why there's a spike, then I'll watch more of the video. It turned out to be pretty cool. I think it was nice.
Do you think there will be a day when that graph bites some creators in the butt? Because in some scenarios you can see when people are skipping integrated mid-roll or end-roll or something like that.
I have seen that. I have seen really, really big spikes, and I was like, whoa, this video is mostly flat with one big spike, and I moved to the spike, and it's somebody ending an ad.
Exactly. So it's nothing to do with before the video. It means they enjoyed the beginning of the video, and they just wanted to pop past that 30 seconds. So
that's going to happen sometimes. That's fine. I think the trade-off is that we get a lot of really cool, like, Dream does this face reveal, and there's this like arc of like people watching more and more, and then the spike, and then there's other later parts where he says certain things, and there's spikes, and it's just kind of interesting to like see a little bit of other people's behavior on a video.
Great user experience, seems minimal on affecting creators, so overall, good feature.
Do you remember back in the day, this is old YouTube,
okay,
they would show the comment section below the video, and then they would also show other people logged in watching the same video at the same time as you. They used to do that. And it was really interesting because when a video would first launch on like a big creator's channel, you would see just like tons of people watching the video at the same time. And then there was like everyone like engaging in the comments, like, oh my God, a lot of people are here right now. They'll probably see my comment. And then like comments would go crazy in the first few minutes. And then slowly, obviously, the video gets older and less people watch. And then if it was an old enough video, you might be one of only 2 or 3 people watching it at the same time. And then you could click on that person's profile. You could message them. You could leave them a comment because you were seeing other people watching the video at the same time. Low key, I kind of want something like that back.
Well, so I don't remember that, but as you're explaining it, it sounds like they tried to reintroduce that with previews or premieres.
Premiere's cool because everyone's watching at once, but it was just something about knowing and being able to reach out to someone else who's watching the same video right away.
Well, when your user base has exponentially grown in the last 15 years, that gets harder and harder unless you're on smaller channels. But
especially if it gets 100 million views in a day.
Exactly. Yeah. There's not a lot of BTS stands out there who would be able to talk to a small group of people. But I do think Premiere could have been that. I think they just kind of messed up the Premiere rollout. And Premiere is something I still would like to see corrected because I think it's an interesting idea. And we've had some cool videos that could have done great, but watching the smartphone camera awards at 720p is terrible.
Yeah, Premiere's, I think you can do 1080 now, possibly.
That's still
But it's still a live stream, and people don't watch live streams at the highest quality. But I think that's also I agree. Premiere should be better, but yeah, we need to find like more ways to make it interesting and make it enticing. Yeah. Mr. Mobile, he does a lot of premieres.
He does, yeah.
And I'm curious. I want to ask him, pick his brain about that, probably get him on the podcast and interrogate him about it.
You did mention, though, only 1080p and 4K. Let's quickly, something we didn't get to talk about because we've been very busy, but I know is near and dear to your heart, is a few weeks ago, we saw YouTube potentially testing 4K playback being set only on for Premiere users.
Paywalled, yeah.
Yeah, paywalled. So since then, they've reverted that change, and that is not happening. But I think it's worth a conversation because most importantly here is there's plenty of times we've seen features tested and reverted and then they come back later anyways. And I think this could potentially be that, or is this something that we could see at the next milestone? I know 8K is so far away and it's weird to think about, but just as an example, like will we see, okay, 4K is your standard for freemium. There you go.
Linus swayed me.
Oh, okay. So I have Linus's thing at the end here. Just to like tell people to go watch. Great video, by the way. I think there's a lot of really useful information. He knows a lot more of it because he runs Floatplane and knows the very, 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 very lower end scale of Google because Google scale is insane.
And the challenges of running a streaming service.
Exactly.
Yes.
I was not expecting you to say you were swayed though.
Linus
so you
did
kind of
sway
messed
me.
up my
His
notes.
video swayed me. No, okay, so 4K, look, I initially had the same reaction as a lot of other people, which is like, you were just, rule number 1 on the internet. If you offer something for free, moving that free thing behind a paywall, no one will think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's like the easiest way for people to dislike something. You clearly can offer it for free. You are now. Why would you move that to being paid? Rule number 1, right? So they broke rule number 1, so everyone gets mad. But the fact is, most people don't watch in 4K. And on top of that, which is really well articulated by Linus, the bandwidth required to stream in higher resolutions and higher bit rates, which is massive files, is dramatically higher than ever.
Not only that, but it is growing at an exponential value of storage base, but in terms of cost per storage and cost per hosting fees, they've basically flatlined and we're not seeing decrease spending on that.
So they're just getting thousands and thousands of more and more hours of 4K videos from people's iPhones being uploaded and not really getting any benefits from it while their user base grows and grows. It's just like they're eating all this cost, right? So I get that, and it's always been like, well, hey, you have YouTube and Google money, like you can eat that.
Yeah.
But the real point is almost nobody watches in 4K. That's the real learning here. Right now, how many of you are watching this on your phone? Boom, right away, that's half of you. You're not watching in 4K. Unless you have a Sony Xperia 5 Mark II, you're not watching in 4K. Even if you have that phone, you probably didn't go into the selector and pick 2160p because your internet probably isn't great enough right now to be watching this whole podcast, 5G? This whole long clip in 4K.
Someone's got on a street corner with millimeter waves somewhere watching this in 4K
to that one
with
guy,
a Sony Xperia.
Please leave that comment. I know there's a non-zero amount of people watching on that phone in 4K right now, and it's hilarious to me.
I love it.
But that's half of the people, right? Then I look at my YouTube analytics, and it's like you can see device type, you can see like the smart TVs and the computers and laptops, and Google on mkbhd.com, we have Google Analytics, and you can see the resolutions of people's screens. And it's a single-digit % of people who even have a 4K monitor. 1080 is very popular. 1440 is very popular. 4K is rare. So if you have a 4K monitor and a good enough internet connection to watch 4K, and you go into the selector and select 4K, that is a tiny fraction of people who actually deserve to be mad at this decision because something that they were previously getting for free is now a paid would have been a paid feature. But that's such a small percentage of people that it made total sense to do it and to actually make some money from it because people will subscribe to premium and you give them a really good reason to. But I think my point is, and Linus's point is, that's almost nobody. So I'm swayed. I believe him.
I messed up all of my notes.
Why were you gonna argue and like?
No, I wasn't gonna argue. I was gonna be like, we're the good guys. Everyone go tell Linus he sucks and that we're the best and we fight for the people. I wonder almost though, like, I guess offering it for premium, which I will say without this being paywall or anything, premium is super worth $5 a month, right?
I think is it
more now?
More,
it's 9.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, I just think YouTube Premium, even at $9 a month, and I know everyone can't afford that, but like you said, not a lot of people watching 4K. I think it's super worth it.
Yeah. I'm just looking at my YouTube Premium benefits because it likes to summarize how long you've had premium and what you've gotten out of it. 2,590 ad-free videos. Sorry, 2,590 hours of ad-free videos.
That's much different. Yeah,
I've watched a lot of YouTube with YouTube Premium. Yeah,
YouTube Premium is currently $11.99.
Is it
$11.99 a month?
But still worth it. Even just opening the YouTube homepage and seeing the word premium above the play button.
A little red P.
It's like the sound of a little jar of caviar opening.
I mean,
this is the good stuff.
I mean, honestly, my favorite feature of it is just that there are not full podcasts, but kind of like talking, like Phil DeFranco. I'll listen to him like a podcast in the car, and you can turn your screen off and continue. It's so nice.
Great feature. I also have no idea who puts mid-rolls in their videos because I haven't seen a mid-roll in years because I have YouTube Premium. That by itself, man, there's some channels that stack mid-rolls. This is not one of them, but hey, I haven't seen them in a while, so I couldn't.
We will be unless you buy YouTube Premium.
Well, no, just kidding. I recall like we're at a team retreat and there's someone like put a YouTube video on the TV, and I was watching the video with them, and then the ad popped up, and everybody turned and looked at me like, "Is this what YouTubers are doing now?" I was like, "Yeah, mid rolls are a thing." But no, yeah, that's I haven't seen a mid roll in
I do have
years.
to say, I don't know if this would be way too hard because I know nothing about coding. Would it make sense if YouTube winds up getting, let's say they don't want to do 4K behind premium, but they obviously need to work on their bandwidth and hosting and all that. They would still have to host the 4K files that people are uploading, which is always going to be an issue. But in terms of streaming it, is there any way to essentially gate resolution based on the resolution that can actually be played on the screen that it's being sent to? Because like I can select 4K on this computer right now and it's not 4K.
Yeah, there's a bunch of features, a bunch of factors that go into YouTube deciding resolution. And then they did that stupid thing where they hid the quality selector behind like 3 clicks.
Yes, but one of our best clips on this podcast.
Yeah, I hate that decision. But yeah, the fact is YouTube wants to take that choice into their own hands and pick what's right for you, which is they look at your internet connection, the bit rate of like how good of a video you're watching, and also whether or not your screen even has 4K pixels. You can pull up a 4K video, but it won't automatically do it if you don't select it all the time. So it looks at you and decides for you what your resolution should be.
I think the best option, and I don't know if it's possible, would be what I just said, where it's like you can't select 4K because you have a 1080p screen or you have a 1440p
But you could
screen.
get more bitrate and a higher sharpness video out of a 4K stream, even if you don't have a 4K screen. Which is like some people might want that. Only the premium payers will want that. That's a small number of people, but that's
sounds. Well, I think what they're doing is they're relying more so on those people than the people with actual 4K viewing displays.
Yeah.
And they know if they can get money out of those people, that's subsidizing everyone else, and that's the best way to make the money. So I would be fascinated if this did go through to see what kind of people are paying for premium, new subscribers to premium that don't have 4K display that they're playing it on.
Yeah.
That would be super interesting.
That'd be interesting. I also just know that if I'm like listening to music and it's just like the album art, I'll still click the resolution all the way up because it sounds way better. Just a higher bit rate.
Interesting.
So I think people interested in that kind of thing, which is like you and me, people listening to tech stuff, like we know this stuff and we care, but small fraction.
Yeah. Oh man, I really wasn't expecting you to say that.
Yeah.
So very interesting.
Shout out to Linus.
Everybody that thinks Markel is a shill and that he's completely turning his back on you, please watch main channel videos at 480p and send us screenshots just to prove to him.
Don't do that.
It's like a petition letter that he shouldn't agree with stuff like this, and we want 4K for the rest of our lives. But to swap back all the way, do you think
That hurts so much.
8K becomes standard 10, 15 years? Does YouTube put the kibosh on it right there? Because now we're just exponentially getting even higher. And that's like 4K is it.
YouTube was really early to supporting 8K, which is admirable. Every time we go to CES, you know how we see like a couple more 8K TVs?
Yeah.
It seems like it's still so fringe that I don't see it being mainstream anytime soon.
The thing about that is like 4K
4K is
not
great.
that long ago wasn't like totally mainstream.
Yeah,
so like
4K had the curve of like you saw one 4K TV one year, and then you saw 12 4K TVs the next year, and then you saw 100 4K TVs the next year.
2022, 2030.
8 years from now, is 8K everywhere? I don't think
is 8K like over 50% of people's.
I have to use my own judgment. When I go and look at those 8K TVs, I can tell the difference between 8K and 4K, but I think most people on most of the screens in their lives will never be able to tell the difference between 4K and 8K, because that's your phone, your tablet, your desktop maybe, and then your TV.
All of this is just reminding us of our friend Grover, who went from a 1080p screen to an 8K screen and is loving life right now.
I mean, he would also be loving life at 4K, but 8K is pretty serious from 720. Yeah, that's huge. Hey, thanks for watching this clip. I just wanted to let you know that this would be a great time to test YouTube's beautiful new subscribe button. It's down below.
You just got to make sure it's like in the same spot you thought it was. It's close.
It's pretty close.
It's a little different color.
It's a different color.
Yeah.
And if you click it, this amazing thing happens where it changes colors.
Oh, that new animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, it changes.
Yeah.
I think it says subscribed instead of subscribed. No. It goes away, and then it shows like a join button if the channel.
Oh,
is
and you're
joined.
stuck forever.
Yeah. Then you're subscribed for life.
Stick with us forever.
It's pretty sick.
It is. You should join too.